hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
Welcome in, Hoist the Colors. Thursday, March 28th. Very special day in the sports world. It is opening day for Major League Baseball. The real opening day, not the opening day from a few weeks ago in Seoul, in Korea. So we're here to open it in the U.S. on the Major League Baseball front, and the Sweet 16 gets underway this evening. 4 games in action. We'll break it all down and more. We'll talk East Carolina like we always do. Programming note, of course, with the rain, the Thursday game against UAB on the baseball side of things has been switched to a Friday doubleheader. Pirates will host the Blazers in a doubleheader, 1 o'clock on Friday to begin that series, and then Saturday, 12 noon, first pitch. Of course, we've got continued spring practice coverage. Yes, they are practicing today in the rain. Will be a nice day for an indoor practice facility, but the Pirates are going to practice on the turf field this afternoon. At least that's the plan as of this morning. So we'll get into some ECU discussion. We've got the latest on the transfer portal. A couple of guards from East Carolina entered yesterday. We'll discuss that. We'll preview the Sweet 16. We'll talk some MLB opening day. We may get into our best bets as well. Philip Pilkington behind the glass. He'll weigh in throughout the show. And we've got Kason Rameli in studio. He's back, fresh off jury duty earlier this week. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about the case, but how'd it go?
I didn't even know what the case was, man. I'm from Johnston County, so I had my jury duty in Smithfield in the courthouse, downtown Smithfield. I left at around 6 in the morning, got there around 7:30 for like 8 a.m. I went through all the motions, signed my name, showed my ID, went in the little pool jury room, sat there for about an hour and a half, watched the video on how to be a good juror. Then the sheriff came in and said, the case is dismissed. Y'all are good to go. Walked out of there at 9 a.m., so just wasted 3 hours of my morning. But I do get a nice $12 check in the mail for going, though. So,
when's the last time you were up that early?
Oh, like not that long ago. I don't.
A couple weeks ago when he went up to D.C. for the basketball game, he didn't get back till 5 a.m.
That is true.
He was up that early.
So he was
still
technically up that early.
I've been up with you a lot of times. Carolina.
Yeah, when we have to hit
App
the
State,
road.
Navy. I wake up. It's just sometimes I like to sleep in.
And you can operate on not a lot of sleep.
Yes, I can operate on not on a sleep. I can operate on low power mode, as my girlfriend says to me all the time.
Low power mode. He just flips the little notch in the upper right-hand corner of his brain, and it works. All right, Kason Rameli, I know you're excited about the Sweet 16. I know you're really excited about MLB opening day. You're telling me you're going to get more into MLB this year.
I am.
So you ready for that?
Yes, I am. Yes, I ordered 2 MLB jerseys last night. I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to tell you a picture. I'm going to send you a picture of them. But so there are going to be 2 players that, I mean, they're, yeah.
2 prominent players?
One of them's not a prominent player. One of them is a prominent player.
Is there a former Pirate in that group?
Possibly.
Okay. We'll have to wait and see. He'll probably get traded by the time you get it.
He probably will.
Kason Rameli here in studio. All right, so let's start close to home. This is Hoist the Colors. We always talk ECU, and we'll start there. Not real big surprising news, I would say, but definitely news yesterday. East Carolina saw 2 more players enter the transfer portal. Jaden Walker entered right before we took the show on Wednesday, and then following him was Bobby Pettiford in the afternoon. So now entering the portal for ECU, you've had 6 players enter the portal: Pettiford, Jaden Walker, Quentin DeBunje, Ben Baela, Caleb LeCount, and Brandon Johnson. I'm just noticing Brandon Johnson, by the way, has been rated as a 4-star transfer by 24/7 Sports. So I don't know. What do you make of the departure of Pettiford and Walker since they're the latest to enter?
I think it should not come as a shock. Excuse me. I just think that, I mean, we've said all year this roster isn't constructed well, and I don't think you got close to the most out of them. I mean, yes, they were great players, but, I mean, it's just a tough spot, and there's not much to say on it because they didn't work out when you wanted them to. And I also think that going into this year, I mean, it was going into this year, your plan was to have Bobby Pettiford to be point guard of your team for the next 2 to 3 years, and it clearly didn't work. And then it just goes. It's a constant life like a circle. So it's this whole situation.
Oh, here comes Kaysen's daily life lesson.
So towards the end of last year, everyone saw Jaden Walker's improvement on the team when he was playing point guard. It worked. It was great. You go out and get Bobby Pettiford, who I wouldn't say is a proven point guard, but he's had experience, good experience. I would argue he's had better experience than Jaden Walker. Yes, Jaden Walker's had more minutes, but I think Bobby's been in more crucial situations. Bobby's been into those practices versus Jalen Wilson. All of them. I cannot say those words, but it just. I'm not gonna say it breaks my heart, but it just upsets me that this did not work out because I work out like I thought it would. And the real question is, like, I don't know where players like Bobby and Jaden go after this, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid question. And, Pettiford's recruitment, I don't think, was super high coming to ECU. I don't think Bobby Pettiford is a bad player. I just don't think he was a good fit for what Mike Schwartz and ECU wanted to do. Like, if you look at his numbers, he led the American in assist-to-turnover ratio. He's just not a scoring point guard, and he's not really a defensive first guard at all. So, you just kind of have to wonder, like, in theory, yeah, bringing Pettiford back home to his home state was good. Former big recruit out of high school, all that. But you already knew Jaden Walker, based on how the last year ended, worked at point guard. So why bring in Pettiford and kind of restart the whole point guard cycle? And then we got to the middle of the year, Pettiford was on the bench, Walker was playing more point guard. And it's just like, I'm glad that all the point guards are leaving, no offense to them. I just think there needs to be a complete reset at point guard. And so I don't think any of them are bad players, speaking of Pettiford and Walker, but like I don't think they're complete point guards either. So they need to bring in a whole new point guard is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and just like you said, they're not bad players. I just think they were not I don't like saying this, but they were not put in the right position to win. They were not put in the right position to win. And I think that just goes back to how they were both used and placed. And I mean, I think there were times this year where Bobby and Jaden were on the floor at the same time, and me were looking at each other like, what are we doing? I mean, which one do you want to play point guard? And also, it's been seen throughout the season with my eyes, and I've heard behind the scenes from a couple of people that there was some bickering between Bobby and Schwartz, and which is understandable because I think that for your starting point guard to have those conversations with your coach, I think that is good. It presents leadership, and that they want the importance of that role. But then again, it just goes to show of like, just because you get a big name in the portal or a flashy point guard doesn't mean it's going to work out.
See, I'm honestly kind of tired of taking guys in the portal that are, quote, big names because they came from bigger schools. I think we need to start going after proven guys from smaller teams. Look at Winston Tabbs last year. Didn't really work out. Cam Hayes this year, Bobby Pettiford Jr. this year did not work out as well as we wanted to. Very seldomly do you see a kid go from a Power 5 school down to the American and it really work out. It worked out with SMU a handful of years ago when they took Semi Ojeleye, but for the most part, I would like to see us go get a proven player out of the Colonial or the Coastal, whatever the heck it's called now, or out of the A10, because it seems like when it's like we haven't had that one man's trash is another man's treasure type thing go on. And I'm not saying it can't work, but I feel like we've been burned one too many times.
Yeah, I mean, there are cases where it works. Like I look at Selt Miguel from USF, who transferred. Where was he at to start with? Somewhere big, and he transferred to USF and ended up working out. And but it even took him a year. But you look at USF this year; their best players were JUCO and Kennesaw State transfers who followed their coach. There's other examples too. I do agree. I would like to see ECU work in that realm a little more, to where they try, even a D2 guy, like a D2 guy who can score. If he's averaging 20 a game at D2, he can probably average 14, 15 at D1. Like, usually that translates.
You know who just entered the portal? Jason Edwards.
From North Texas?
Yep.
Well, he's the guy ECU was on last year, and now he's going to get paid big money coming to ECU. But, like, that's a guy who filled it up at JUCO, probably wasn't the sexiest name above Pettiford, but could have came here and played and done well. So, no, I agree with you. JUCO guys that score a lot, lower level guys that score a lot, typically it translates. And I do like that Woodard, who is a JUCO commit for ECU, is in that mold. High level scorer at the JUCO level. And, I think you can go that route a little more.
And that's something that's so overlooked nowadays.
The JUCO level?
JUCO level. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I can name a couple players off the top of my head that have come from JUCO that have toured up. I mean, one that's, for me, on national media right now is Muhammad Diarra from JUCO. Jason Edwards, JUCO. And there's a kid on Xavier from JUCO. There's another kid that is in the tournament right now in JUCO tearing it up. And I think that's something that's overlooked nowadays because some of those JUCO kids start out as Power 5 kids but have some problems and they just get dunked in the water for a little bit. They come back up and look where they are.
No, you're 100% right, Casey. You think about it, 95% of kids that are playing JUCO. Well, I shouldn't say that because there are some kids that just aren't. They're JUCO talent. But the kids who are balling out in JUCO are not JUCO because of talent or lack thereof. They're JUCO because, like you said, something else happened. 9 times out of 10, it's grades.
Correct.
And then they get to that junior college and they go, dang, I could have went D1, but I didn't because I didn't do right in the classroom. And then they get their act together in the classroom, and then they're academically eligible to play D1 basketball. And especially, not to bag on ECU, because I went here, we all went there, but we're not Davidson. It's not like we can't recruit, kids who make, B's and C's. It's not like you need straight A's like Davidson would need. So we can get those kids, and the kids that are balling out in JUCO, 95% of the time, they were getting Power 5 looks. It was something else happened. It's not from a lack of talent. And, yeah, they haven't been playing as good of competition as ECU is going to play, but they're dropping 30 there. This probably means they can drop 18 with us. And we don't need a guy who can drop 30. If we get 4 dudes who can drop 18, we'll win some basketball games.
I do think looking at the recruiting landscape of what ECU's offering and going after, according to tweets, that they are going this route, which is encouraging. They've already got a few more JUCO offers out in this class. They got a few offers out, or at least interest in D2 guys or like low-level guys. So I think they are making this adjustment, which I do like. We'll see how it works out. All right. John Moody says this has Winston-Salem State written all over it, speaking of Pettiford and Jaden Walker. I think he goes more, I don't know, NC Central. UNCG, somewhere like that. Maybe not as low as NC Central, but, even like a Western Carolina, like one of those programs. And I think he could be good in that conference. I mean, I don't think Pettiford's a bad player. Again, he's got to continue to manage that hamstring. Christian Bateman says, who are the guys we're looking at in the portal? There's a ton. If you Twitter search East Carolina interest or hearing from East Carolina, those words, it'll pop up basically with everybody that ECU's looking at in the portal. And this is still kind of the first wave. I don't think we really know names, official visits, all that, but that'll come in time. Chuck wants to know, what are we going to do, replace with all transfers or high schoolers? And is Jordan Vick coming next fall? Jordan Vick is a 2025. He will be here in a couple of years. They do have Woodard, who is committed from the JUCO ranks. And then also they have LaDonte Felton, R.J. Felton's brother, son. I think he'll be the only high school guy. I think you see the rest transfers. So that's kind of how it looks right now. Are you surprised, Kason, we have not seen Ezra Sarr enter the portal at this point?
Yes, I do not think that he will be here in the fall, but look, everything's up in the air. I also think that we're going to start seeing some names coming up in the next 3 weeks because there's 16 teams less right now, so we're going to figure out who's coming up soon because guess what? Some of these kids are about to get scooping up.
All right, so right now on the roster, you have Ezra Sarr, R.J. Felton, Cam Hayes, Valentino Pinedo, Ben Salvungo, Sear Malonga, Callum Richard. I think that's 7 scholarship guys.
You got 2 more coming in.
2 more coming in.
9.
That's 9. So, I mean, you still only have technically, as it stands right now, 4 scholarships to work with, which isn't a ton. So I still expect there to be more guys leaving. I don't know. As you hear that list, any that you could see departing from the current roster?
I think Sear or Callum, one of them will leave. I think that I don't think they're going to let go of Sear.
I think they would like to keep Sear. I mean, I don't think they're opposed to keeping Callum either. But if you're both those big guys, does it make sense to stay with the other big guy?
And I don't think Pinedo will stay. I mean,
I think they need that scholarship.
Yes, and the last
Ezra.
there's another one. Fungo will stay.
Yeah,
no point in him staying on leaving. I mean,
Yeah, not enough tape. RJ staying, Sear staying, and then we'll see what happens with Ezra. So Cam, what do you think on Cam Hayes at this point?
I think Cam will stay.
He's got 1 year of eligibility left.
No guards left.
Do you guys think it's maybe? I know I'm a little surprised Ezra hasn't entered either, but is it a little less surprising? I guess because he wasn't as good down the stretch. Because I think if he'd have played at his level of potential the whole way down the stretch, I think he'd definitely be in the portal by now.
Are
we talking about Cam?
No,
No,
Ezra. I think with Ezra, it's like this season was just so. I mean, the conference season, he just became such a non-factor. Like, I just don't. I would think he thinks he can do more, but then he goes in the conference tournament and does what he does, and then he had some positive words for Coach Schwartz after the conference tournament on his own. So I don't know. I don't know what Ezra's thinking. It's just if he were really dominant this past year, I do think he'd be gone for sure, like already gone.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. I think the fact that he wasn't dominant and was a non-factor, he doesn't want to be one of those kids that gets stuck
lost
in the portal.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's a fair assessment.
He's waiting until teams reach out to him to enter, kind of thing.
I also think his lack of shooting and rebounding is going to hurt him.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got to be able to rebound at his size.
He's not a great shooter, which I think is huge for the portal. And it's mainly I cannot talk today, dude.
It's because you got up before 11 a.m. Matthew Krovitz says, "Isn't ECU committed to keeping foreign players if they want to stay?" I don't know the policy on that. Look, I mean, this is a big boy basketball program. If you want to be a big boy basketball program, you want to win games, you need to get players in there who can score and rebound and win. That's all I have to say about that, whether they're foreign or not.
And after every season, each coach has a one-on-one meeting with each player. And then they tell them basically what you liked, what they didn't do, and then they tell them what they think.
And I think, too, there are different rules on international scholarships and all that, and maybe that plays a role. But, if you tell a guy if you come back you're not going to play at all next year, like typically the writing's on the wall. So I think at this point, look, Schwartz is heading into a crucial year. He'll be the first to tell you that. This is a vital roster reconstruction, rebuild, call it whatever you want. But they have got, to me, they need as many scholarships open as possible to utilize, because you're not going to hit on everybody. And if you know somebody in the program now is not going to be the player you want them to be, you got to try something else. You got to have as many bullets in your chamber to try and hit on as possible. Otherwise, you're giving yourself less of a chance to hit in the portal or the JUCO route.
Yeah, and also, what about this trip they're going to take?
Yeah, they're going to go, to some international, or they're going to obviously take an international trip. I think the locations are still being decided, but that's not till usually June or July.
And that's going to be important for this team in a good way or a bad way, because with a lot of teams that have these trips, that have these moments, they go through other teams and they have big moments and they get to grow chemistry. But it could go good, really bad, or really good.
I hope it really helps, because when you look at some of the kids who played, U18, Team USA stuff, and the bond they build going to other countries, and a lot of times it causes them to commit to the same university together. I know this is a different scenario, but I think that travel, especially if you go to a place where nobody knows English and you have to talk to the guys you're with, you're going through all that jet lag, going through all that there's a special bond you get on these trips, because you can't just go walk away and go to your own apartment if you get tired of somebody. You got to work it out.
Yeah. I think it's a very valuable trip. I mean, I'm glad they're doing it. It makes ECU basketball seem more legit. I mean, how many legit programs do this type of stuff? So it needs to happen. Scott Brewer says, if RJ leaves, do you think his brother will still come? Well, RJ is coming back. He's announced that outside of looking into the NBA. So I think he'll be back next season, but his brother's going to be here regardless. McLean says, I don't know if anyone is going to pay big NIL for Ezra based on the season. That's also very fair. So we'll see. Lots to still play out. We'll continue to keep you updated on the ECU basketball roster, the portal throughout the offseason. Again, still trying to get Mike Schwartz up here as well. He's a little busy these days. We'll get him on in the coming weeks. All right, we'll get a break in. We'll turn our attention to the Sweet 16. Can the Wolfpack keep it going? We'll ask Casey Romeli his thoughts on Kevin Keats and his crew. And then we'll look at tonight's action, the matchups ahead over the next 2 days as well. This is Hoist the Colors.
It's time to get more in 24 at Greenville Toyota. More savings, more selection, more for your trade. Get new Camrys, $269 a month, or new RAV4s, $299 a month. Save big and get more in 24 at Greenville Toyota.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hey, grab me one too.
When a place is as special as this, you don't want to change a thing. You simply want to enjoy it, just as it is. That was our inspiration behind Bow Coast West, our newest community in Beaufort, North Carolina. Embrace all that we love about this very special place and make it easy for families to enjoy all that this coastal lifestyle has to offer. Be inspired. Bow Coast West.
Get more in 24 at Greenville Toyota. Get more savings on our huge Toyota selection. Shop new Corollas just $239 a month or new Tundras with 3.99% financing. Get more for your trade. Save big and get more in 24 at Greenville Toyota.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Matey!
Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, Thursday, March 28th. We had a long but productive, mostly productive segment on ECU basketball and the transfer portal. Casey Romeli in studio, Philip Pilkington behind the glass. Casey, you good now, man?
I'm good, I think.
It's just, sometimes you don't have your A game, and you got to find a way to work around it and still contribute to the show.
I'm just so excited about MLB and the Sweet 16.
Well, we're about to talk about both those things. If you do have a question on YouTube, Facebook, feel free to drop it there. We'll get to it throughout the remaining 35 minutes or so of the program. I feel like on days like today, guys, we could go 2 hours. If you would like us to start going 2 hours, start commenting in the chat, and we'll run that up the flagpole see if we can get our pay increased, and we'll see what we can do.
If you're a local business owner, please sponsor the show so that they can increase our pay so that we can go 2 hours.
Absolutely. Sweet 16 is underway starting tonight. So here is the action. Should we go game by game? Let's just do that. Let's go game by game, and we'll give some thoughts on it. So you've got the whole East region and the West region. So the East is being played in Boston. The West is being played in Los Angeles. So the first game tonight, Clemson and Arizona. Clemson, of course, the 6th seed back in the Sweet 16. Arizona, the 2. Arizona is a 7.5-point favorite. Casey, you were telling us earlier maybe you think the Clemson Tigers and the ACC keep it rolling. What do you think, though?
Look, going into the tournament, I was like, man, how in the world is Clemson a 6th seed? We talked about it. They did not have an amazing year, but they started out the non-conference 13-0, and guess what happens when that happens? Your net skyrockets through the world. And look where they are now. And before the first game versus New Mexico, I told you, I was like, I think New Mexico might win this game. And last second, I texted you, I was like, hold up. I think I like Clemson. And you were like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, you know what? I'm riding it. And then the next game, they beat Baylor, and I was on Clemson again. I was like, you know what? Something's telling me 2021 Syracuse, Joe Girard's going to show up. And he did. He played fantastic. And then tonight, they play Caleb Love and Arizona. I do not think that Clemson cannot guard their bigs, and Clemson's a great rebounding team, but I think Arizona is going to run into Ballo, who is just outstanding, and also Love. And that other white kid forward, he's pretty good too. But I think Clemson can win this game. I definitely like them 11.5, but I think Arizona maybe pulls away with this one late.
Kaysen, I don't want to jump ahead to NC State, but I want to hit on something that Clemson did. Is NC State in every sport going to learn from Clemson? You mentioned how good they started out of conference, but it wasn't just that they won. It's the fact that they beat a lot of tournament teams. They beat UAB, Boise State, Alabama, South Carolina, and TCU. When are the Wolf Pack going to figure it out that if you play teams like this, you don't have to win the conference tournament to get in?
I have talked to the head man twice before this in my time there, but we'll see how that works out. I know the person who makes the NC State NCAA tournament resume, and Steve Snell, who one of my friends, Jordan Snell's dad, and he was like, yeah, we need to schedule better. I'm like, well, thanks, Steve. I appreciate it, man. So,
still waiting, though.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think they should. But then again, just how important that non-conference is, because Clemson did not have the best ACC season. They didn't beat any great teams. They just won who they needed to win. And guess what? They have a 6th seed, and they're the Sweet 16.
All right, so Arizona here tonight. I think the guard play is too good. I don't know if Clemson is going to be able to score enough.
I think Arizona will win that game, but I will say this: if you're a betting man, Clemson has good value to win. I think they're plus 230, 240 money line, which I think is really good value. Which I sprinkled some money on them because the value is good. So
I'm looking forward to that PJ Hall matchup with, was it Ballo? Is that how you say his name? Yeah, that's going to be a really good fight inside.
PJ Hall is a good player.
All right, we've got one vote for 2 hours. Aaron Watson is all in. He says 2 hours, all caps. So that basically counts as 2 votes. If you'd like us to try to have a 2-hour show, keep it coming. Not today, but just in the future, so we can keep it rolling on days like today. All right, Casey's like, I got somewhere to be.
I do not. I got an Instagram follower from I don't know who.
Picking up followers, man. That's the way to go. All right, the other game in the West tonight, some team called North Carolina. They play Alabama. This should honestly be an awesome game to watch, though, just from the style, the pace of play. This is a 9:39 Eastern tip. I originally had St. Mary's beating UNC in this spot. That looks great, especially after they lost the Grand Canyon. Does Alabama have what it takes to knock off the Tar Heels? UNC is a 4.5-point favorite, Casey.
I'll say right now, if the first team to 100 points wins this game, this is going to be high pace, high octane, firepower, offense versus offense. No defense going to play on body. It's going to look like a YMC rec league out there. Just Sears, RJ Davis throwing up shots. I had UNC losing to Michigan State, but that's just my personal. But I definitely think that Alabama can win this game. One of Alabama's starting guards hurt his elbow in their first game versus forgot the off the top of my head. Charleston, yes, they hurt one of their best players for the elbow. So he's a game time decision, which is big. But if Alabama cannot make dumb mistakes and knock down threes, they can win this game easily.
What are your vibes here, Philip, as a Dookie? Do you think UNC can get tripped up tonight, or are they going to keep it going to the Elite Eight?
I think they do win, but I definitely think they could get tripped up. I think they're happy in a way to not be seeing St. Mary's. As you predicted St. Mary's to beat them, St. Mary's is a slightly better three-point shooting team than Alabama, and when any team gets hot, they can beat anybody. If Duke plays the way they did against JMU, they could win it all because they shot the three ball well, and that's how St. Mary's plays. Now, with that being said, with Alabama, look, they play fast. They do shoot the three ball pretty effectively, not as effectively as the Gales of St. Mary's, but when you're North Carolina, yeah, they play an up-tempo game to an extent, but they still, even though Baycott has not been as big of a presence scoring down the stretch this year, I think his presence and the ability to work that inside-outside game has opened up their offense and allowed it to score. I think they would like to play a little bit of a slower game. I think a fast-paced game would benefit Alabama. Not saying the Tar Heels can't win a fast-paced game. I think it becomes fast-paced. I think the Tar Heels squeak it out. But to Cason's point, first one to 100 probably stands a good chance to win this one.
I think I'm taking the R.J. Davis over. Just if he's getting up and down the court, he's going to be scoring a lot. I know Casey's not a fan, but R.J. Davis is a beast. All right, we have a few more votes. Robert Matthews wants us to go 3 hours and get the big hen to get off that wallet. Johnny Robertson says going 2 hours would be nice. I'm in, and we'll keep it rolling from there. All right, East Region, rematch of last year's national championship, San Diego State versus UConn. UConn, an 11.5-point favorite. They have just been absolutely crushing folks. Kaysen and I were watching the San Diego State UAB game intently. Our boy Jadon Ledee, great player. He's basically been the vast majority of their offense here in the postseason. A walking double-double. He also pushes off more than any player I've ever seen getting rebounds and gets away with it. UConn is just too good, but is there anything to the point that San Diego State saw them last year in the championship, knows their style, and maybe can play the revenge card, or does it not matter?
It's funny you say that because me and some friends last night were talking about, we said that we haven't seen a dominant team like this in the tournament since those Villanova teams that are on 2017, how dominant this UConn team is. And I don't think there's a team that has had this much favoritism since those teams. This UConn team is just absolutely ridiculous from just up and down that bench. They have length, size, speed, power, shooting, everything. And the best player on that team, first team All-American, is who, Steven Igo?
Tristan Newton.
Hey, shout out him. He's a great player. And Donovan Clegan's projected top 10 pick. He is an unbelievable talent. But with all that being said, I threw 25 on San Diego State to win that game.
25 on the money line?
25 to win 112. They're at great value, and I think if anyone can beat them in that region, it's San Diego State because they're going to shock them.
It does feel like if it happens for UConn before the Final Four,
yes,
it happens
it's
today.
Tonight.
So we'll see. What do you think, Philip? Any shot the Aztecs could have done?
To go back to your original question, you asked Kaysen, it doesn't help they saw them last year. I say, of course, because UConn is one of the few teams that you see being dominant in the tournament back-to-back years that has the same roster. So the fact that San Diego State can refer to tape of a game they lost a year ago helps them slightly. But to Kaysen's point, look, UConn's the best team in the country. If they do not win this tournament, it is win it all or bust for this Huskies team. Danny Hurley has done a phenomenal job retaining the team that he had a year ago and picking up right where they left off. I think the Huskies pull it out tonight. I don't think it's, they win by 30, but I think it's one of those where it's fairly convincing. They just slowly extend the lead as the game goes on. But, look, San Diego State's a good basketball team. They've had a pretty good program for the last decade or so. and they should have been. They were going to be a 1 seed in 2020, and they've proven they can hang with these types of teams. So would it shock me? No. Do I see it happening? No.
All right, last game on the Thursday card, 10:09 Eastern tip-off tonight. Illinois and NC State. Illinois and Iowa State. Iowa State a 1.5-point favorite over the Fighting Illini. This should be a great game. It's the lowest spread on the card. I think it's pretty much a toss-up on paper.
What's ridiculous to me? We're having a 10 o'clock game on in Boston.
Yes.
And who is this game after?
This is after
San Diego State UConn. So this and also this game probably ain't starting at 10 either way.
Or you've got 2 games in California.
Yeah, why does California not have the late game?
The California game starts at 9:39.
But the California game also, the first California game starts at like 6:30, which is 3:30 their time.
Yep.
It's the middle of the day.
It's wild, ain't it?
And you got Arizona playing the first California game as a West.
So
Coast
how
school.
this happens, Case, and if you really want to know how does this happen, it's because the networks schedule the games based off the teams, and they couldn't give a rat's booty about where the game's being played.
That is true.
They just know that Illinois and Iowa State have probably the least fan bases out of any of these teams. Like, well, we'll throw them on when everybody's in bed or watching the Mariners lose to the Red Sox.
Zero shot of that happening.
Yeah, and the only thing I have to say about this game is Terrence Shannon for Illinois might have 40. I don't think Iowa State's good. All their fans, we are the best in the country. And when they re-rewrite